You feel like your relationship is about to fall apart. You have that feeling that love is still there, but the pain and uncertainty weigh more. Are you at the crossroads of deciding whether to fight and save this relationship, or is it better to let it go? In this episode, I want to help you gain that clarity and discover if there is truly hope in that relationship. I want to guide you through 6 steps you should take to try to save your relationship if there is still potential and love before it's too late. These minutes with me today, if well applied, can save your relationship and spare your heart a lot of pain. So stay, because being here is self-love and also love for your partner. Before anything else, we need to honestly explore if it's really worth trying to save that relationship. The truth is that not all relationships should be saved. Sometimes, as painful as it may be, the healthiest thing is simply to say goodbye. If your partner has stopped trying or doesn't acknowledge their mistakes or has hurt you over and over again without showing any change, maybe you really should consider ending that relationship. Because if only one person makes an effort or only one person holds things together, then a relationship doesn't work. It has to be equal on both sides. A team, in the same way, when there are constant disrespectful behaviors, mistreatment, whether physical or emotional, you need to prioritize your well-being. And understand that letting go in time is also an act of self-love. A relationship that breaks you and dims your light is not a refuge. It's more like a prison, so don't be afraid to close the door if continuing means destroying yourself. Now, if deep down there is still love and respect, potential, and above all, if both are willing to work on growing, renewing themselves, changing, well then, your relationship does deserve one more try. Keep in mind that love based on feelings is not enough. There has to be love in action, and by that I mean that without trust or without effort, without communication, and without a safe environment where both of you can be yourselves, the relationship is not going to thrive. Also, saving a relationship is not only possible, but it's necessary when both people want it and are committed, but it's only possible with commitment from both sides. If only one wants to try while the other gives up, it's practically impossible to achieve it. Here, half measures, half-hearted efforts, or hoping things will magically work out just don't count. Both must enter this process with their hearts on their sleeves, willing and fully determined to give it their all. So, right now, share this video with your partner and ask them if they're willing to give it a try. The perfect relationship doesn't exist. There are 2 imperfect people, determined not to give up on each other and on the project they are building together. To discover all this, I want you to ask yourself some honest questions. Is there still true love between you two? Is there still respect and trust even though both of you are hurt? Do both of you acknowledge your faults but want to work on improving? If your answers are affirmative, that is a yes, then there is a foundation to rebuild on. If you feel in your heart that it's worth fighting for, then it's worth trying with all your strength. But if you're not sure, take a moment to reflect, because sometimes clarity comes when you imagine your life without that person. That's when you realize if it's fear of loneliness that keeps you tied or if it's genuine and beautiful love. Every relationship is its own world, and there isn't a universal magic formula to save it. What does exist to make it work are patterns, skills, and walls that we have to break down, and also emotional paths that we have to walk to heal. I've already done this with tens of thousands of my students in my courses. And now I want us to do it, you and me, and of course your partner too. That said, here are 6 steps for you to save your relationship. These steps aren't tricks, they're techniques, they're things backed by science, and they're deep processes, but simple to do. They will open many doors to your personal growth and also to the growth of your relationship. So let's start with step 1, which is to decide from the heart to save the relationship. This first step is to make a brave and wholehearted decision where both of you commit from the heart to try to save the relationship, or to go down fighting while trying to do it. In other words, take off the armor of pride, deactivate the defense mechanisms that have you trapped in your ego or in survival mode, and set aside the fear of failure. Truly deciding this means telling each other, we're going to fight for this no matter what happens. And not just saying it, acting on it. You can't move forward with one foot in and one foot out. You have to give yourself 100%. This joint decision, this agreement, will create a sense of teamwork, with a common goal to achieve and a solid foundation to work on. Step 2 is to speak from the heart and listen with empathy, since you have decided to give it a try in step 1. It's time to deeply understand the pain, desires, and needs of the other person. This step is crucial to release all the resentment, pain, guilt, or dissatisfaction that you have accumulated in the relationship and that has worn you down, for feeling so heavy, but also to regain hope in that relationship. This step is about listening to everything your partner needs to say from their heart, not from a place of judgment, and putting yourself in their shoes and in their mind to understand their needs. Even if sometimes you have to interpret them or read between the lines of what they're telling you, because many times they won't be able to say it directly or clearly. But that's why you're there, to support them, to help them, and to guide them. Both have suffered in their own way, so it's time for them to listen to each other, without getting defensive, without interrupting, and without judging. In other words, without violence. It's time to listen to the other person while they speak, and not to listen to your own thoughts while the other person is talking. And to respond more to what you told yourself in your head than to what the other person actually meant to say. So sit down with your partner and ask them, how do you feel? What do you need? What hurts? What fears are haunting you? And really listen without interrupting and with an open heart. In the same way, share all your feelings with humility, from the soul and without violence, calmly, and let your partner listen to you. The idea is that both of you understand what the real problem or problems are. In other words, the roots of the crisis, the roots that have led you to let weeds grow in that relationship. When the couple agrees on these roots of conflict, well then it's like they get on the same wavelength, they share the same reality, and the chances of overcoming them increase a lot. Because they're on the same frequency like a team. If they don't do it, it's like they're playing on different teams, and as if they had invisible chains that gradually limit them and don't let them move forward. Your partner is not your enemy. The enemy is the problem that both of you need to solve together as a team. So stop killing the relationship with shouting or with silences that hurt. Stop wanting to be right and win the argument. Try to achieve the common good and let the one who wins be the relationship. Practice empathy, that one where you try to vividly imagine what the other person is experiencing so you can feel what the other person is feeling. Have you ever thought that maybe your partner is suffering in silence and fighting emotional battles that you might not even imagine? Do you really understand why what hurts them, or why what scares them? This step can open up difficult conversations, it can bring tears and reveal hidden truths, and that's a very good thing. Only by facing the truth together will you be able to heal it. So avoid blame, judgment, attacks, and instead of saying things like, it's your fault, try saying things like, I feel that, or for example, instead of, you make me feel ignored. You could say things like, I've been feeling ignored and that hurts me. Changing the accusatory you for the sincere and humble I opens the door to understanding and compassion instead of defensiveness, and to ego and this power game, which is truly very toxic. Speak calmly, with respect, without sarcasm, and also without shouting. It can be scary to be vulnerable, but it's the only way to genuinely reconnect. In fact, it has been proven that assertive communication, effective, empathetic, and non-violent communication, in other words, where we are honest but kind, is key to overcoming conflicts and having a healthy and satisfying relationship. Think about how many things both of you have kept quiet out of fear or pride. Silence is the coldest distance between two people who love each other. What would happen if, instead of staying silent or attacking, they became emotionally vulnerable and could truly talk, converse, and come to an agreement? Maybe for the first time in a long time, they would truly see each other without any masks. Would you dare to speak with your heart on your sleeve, even if your voice trembles? Let me know. That brave sincerity can be painful at first or uncomfortable, but it's crucial and necessary to move forward. Step 3 is to truly forgive. Here we enter a difficult territory, but a very healing one. Authentic forgiveness. If there have been mistakes, lies, or deep wounds, as in all relationships, to move forward, you must forgive each other sincerely and from the heart. Be careful. Forgiving does not mean erasing the past or justifying the harm. It means letting go of resentment and giving the other person, the relationship, and yourself a new chance. It is said that holding a grudge and not forgiving is like drinking a bottle of poison, hoping that it will hurt the other person, but in reality, the only person it poisons is you. That's why it's time to throw away that poison, let it go, and start forgiving little by little. Genuine forgiveness takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's okay for it to be that way. Forgiveness is a decision and a process. First, you decide to forgive, and then you work day by day to make that forgiveness truly exist and heal the wounds. You will have days of doubt and you will have setbacks, and there will be days of anger. It's normal. The important thing is to always return to the intention to forgive, only forgiving what happened. Both you and your partner will be able to make room for what could be. With that, we move on to step 4, rebuilding trust. Trust is the backbone of any relationship. And if it's broken, well, there are two options. Either there won't be a relationship anymore, or you have to rebuild it brick by brick. And here, pretty words aren't enough. You need consistent actions. Every little promise kept, every truth that's told, even if it's uncomfortable, every act of transparency and everything that requires effort is a brick in that reconstruction. Imagine trust as a vase that broke into pieces. You can repair it. Together, you can repair it. But it requires patience, communication, coordination, kindness, and honesty. And there will be moments of insecurity. And the one who was hurt the most in a situation will doubt and will be afraid to trust again, and that's normal. Trust is regained with consistency and with a process day after day, with a lot of love, showing that they can trust you again and that you can trust him or her again, but not with promises of words, but with actions, with commitment. Ask yourself, am I willing to be patient and persistent so that my partner can trust me again? And if you are the one who lost trust, are you willing to slowly open your heart again? If really you see a change, don't expect trust to come back all at once, but have faith in the process. Little by little, if both of you make an effort, that vase that's full of cracks or broken will be able to hold all that love again without spilling a single drop. Step by step, you'll see that it's possible to believe in each other again. Let's move on to step 5, and that's to rekindle the spark of love. Not everything is about working on problems, tears, wounds, and so on. You also need to bring back joy, to connect emotionally, to have complicity, and to remember why you fell in love. Treat each other like you did at the start, and there will be no end, the saying goes. Over time, responsibilities, conflicts, and all the stress that comes with a relationship, well, it makes it full of serious conversations, reproaches, or distance. And like I said, that causes stress and kills the novelty, kills the desire, and kills the motivation to build something together. That's why this step is about rescuing the novelty, the complicity, the tenderness, and the sense of teamwork that you both started to forget. Do you remember those late night laughs over silly things when you were newlyweds or just starting your relationship? Or those spontaneous gestures you used to have for each other? Well, it's time to get back to basics. Bring back those small acts of kindness, romance, affection, and everyday love. Something as simple as an unexpected hug or a sincere thank you for this. Or cooking together, or going for a walk holding hands, or going to a play that makes you laugh, or looking at old photos and remembering happy moments is enough to start. It's not about pretending there weren't any problems. It's about nurturing the relationship with positive things to balance out all the stress that has built up. You think that the neglected garden of that relationship you have has become overgrown with weeds. And that's why you have to plant beautiful seeds again with beautiful moments so that love can bloom again. Ask yourself, what little details or gestures have you stopped having with your partner? When was the last time you expressed genuine appreciation, love, or admiration to them? Do something today, no matter how small, that brings a smile to their face. Also, rekindle the friendship within your relationship, talk about your dreams, support each other's projects, and laugh together. The spark is often still there, it's just waiting for a little gasoline or oxygen to ignite again. Every shared laugh, every gesture of affection, and every good thing you do will be like fresh air that fuels that flame. And yes, believe it or not, it's possible to fall in love with the same person all over again. Especially when both of you see each other's effort and growth in this process. What if this crisis ends up being what brings you closer than ever? Just think about it. And step 6, grow together. Saving the relationship is not a destination, it's an ongoing journey. Love it's a lifestyle, and it's a team project that is built one day at a time, piece by piece, with a lot of love. This last step is actually an invitation that if you have managed to move forward with the previous ones I mentioned, keep committing to grow together every day. In other words, create a new vision of a future for this couple that you form. New rules, new goals, new projects, new agreements, maybe even a completely renewed relationship from the ashes of the previous relationship. Talk about what you want to build together from now on. And it's very useful to write a new pact between you, say there, in that pact, which is obviously symbolic. What does each one commit to every day to not repeat the same mistakes? And how will you support each other if you do repeat them? And very importantly, don't hesitate to seek external and professional help if you need it. Sometimes, despite love, you need tools and professional guidance. A course, for example, like the ones I teach, has helped thousands of people see blind spots and speed up healing. There's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in acquiring tools. Nobody is perfect, and we're all constantly growing. Doing this and educating yourself emotionally and growing as a person is a sign that you take yourself seriously. Your growth, your relationship, your self-love, and your life. In my experience, many couples achieve incredible results when they have a mentor to guide them through a proper process. And even so, there will be conflicts and challenges, ups and downs, and the occasional argument because life isn't perfect. But if both of them educate themselves, they level up, build a growth mindset, and become more resilient and more emotionally intelligent, every new challenge will be an opportunity to solve it as a team, and therefore to also strengthen the relationship instead of destroying it. Imagine where you and your partner could be in a year if you keep this commitment to growth, more united, more honest, more in love, and closer than ever. That could be your future if you keep nurturing the little plant you've grown so far. Given all you've experienced and the steps you'll take here, are you willing to keep walking hand in hand even when the road gets tough? If the answer is yes, then there won't be any crisis you can't overcome together, no matter how uncomfortable or difficult it is. A relationship is saved day by day. With every small act of love, with every honest conversation, with every forgiveness given, as long as there is love and willingness, there is hope. Don't underestimate the power of two people willing to fight to rebuild their bond. The most unforgettable love stories aren't the perfect ones, but those where two imperfect people choose to keep betting on each other despite everything. If you want to keep going deeper on this path with me, and for me to keep helping you, please leave me a comment that says, "I want more." That way, I'll know you want me to make more content like this, or even courses or workshops related to the topic. I send you a big hug, and I'll see you in the next episode.